Welcome children, and today we're going to do the topic on noun. Now noun is the first part in English grammar. Now N is for a noun, and of course N refers to names. Names of what, children? Well, we'll see it. It's the name of person, place, animals or things. Here children, we're going to go to the very first level of what is a noun. As we said children, nouns are names. Now what are they names of? They are names of living beings, places, things, ideas and feelings. Well children, names of what? Names of people. Like they say, living beings. That is names, your name, my name, name of the place where we live. Names of things. The pen that I have in my hand, it's a thing. So names of things, ideas, feelings, honesty, something that I can see. I can even perceive it, but I cannot touch it. Now children, here we are going to discuss the types of nouns. Now the very first noun that we have is a common noun. Now I'll give you a few examples of the common noun. So it's going to be easy for you to understand the explanation. Common nouns are like, for example, a dog, a cat, a boy, a table. These are called common nouns, for they are the common names of particular things. A proper noun. Proper noun is the name that you or I are called by, because that name belongs only to us. It may be the name of a city like Delhi. It may be the name of a place, for example, London. It may be even a name of your pet. Let me say your pet is a dog called Tommy. So any particular name that we have, that is a proper noun. Now what is a collective noun? The third form of noun, a collective noun. Collective noun are groups, children. The common name we give for a group of things. For example, if there are a group of people, we call it a crowd. And children, if there is a lot of sheep out there, we call it a flock of sheep. Material noun. Material noun is actually something that you can see, and they are ingredients with which things are made. For example, children, we have bricks. Bricks are made, you use bricks to make a building. Well, we have glass, or we have gold. We use gold to make ornaments. Abstract noun, something that you cannot see, but as I told you, an emotion, an idea, which you can perceive in a person, but you cannot see in you cannot touch it, children. For example, I should write it out here, children. Honesty, that we have. Kindness, you can see the kindness in a person. You can see the cruelty in a person. But children, we cannot touch it and keep it separate. Well, now let's discuss the common noun. As I said, children, common noun is a word that does not really refer to any particular person, place, animal or thing. It is not something particular. In fact, kids, a common noun is a common name given. Well, all females are called, children, girls. And all males, they are known as boys. The books that you have on your table, the piles of copies that you have. So books, children, not referring to a particular book. The copies that you have, well, all the things where they have a common name for a person, place, animal or thing. Children, all little animals that bark, they're all known as dogs. So you have these are called common nouns. Common nouns, one thing remember, we never write a common noun in a capital letter. Only children, if it is in the beginning of the sentence, then it is obvious that we are going to write the common noun with a capital letter. Otherwise, if the common noun comes in the middle of a sentence, please do not write them with capital letters. For example, boys and girls, we only use a comma. We will not use capital letters. Proper nouns. Children, see, it's also a nice way to notify it. P is for proper, P is for particular. So what is a proper noun? A proper noun is a name given to very specific or particular places, particular people, and particular organizations. If I am talking of a particular school or a college, if I'm talking about, for example, the Oxford University children, the Harvard University, well, I have a proper noun because there's only one Oxford University in the whole world. So when I'm talking about a particular person or a particular place, well, I'm talking about Modi, who is our Prime Minister. Well, there's just one Narendra Modi, and we're talking about that particular person. So when I refer to a particular person, a place, an animal, or a thing, children, when the emphasis is about one particular thing or a specific product, then it is called as a proper noun. Now, one thing, remember, a common noun does not need a capital letter, but a proper noun, wherever it is placed in a sentence, well, that proper noun requires a capital letter. Your name, my name, the names of your friends, the names of your cities, all these need to be notified in, capital letters. Next we have is a collective noun. Now, what is a collective noun? C is for collective, C is for collection. Well, children, when a group is standing together of similar things, children, remember, it has to be similar. Like when you're traveling on the highway, you see there are a lot of, cattle on the road. So what do I say? Well, there's so much of cattle? No. What I would mention is herd of cattle. And when I say herd of cattle, automatically, children, you get an idea that there are multitudes of cattle, walking on the road. So there are one kind of thing. Like, for example, you've gone to a mela and there is such a lot of people out there pushing and nudging out there. So what will I say? I will say there was a crowd of people. Automatically, you know that a crowd of people does not refer to one person or two people. It refers to a multitude of people. And so, children, to make it much more, interesting and much more stylish, perhaps we have the collective noun. Like you have an army of soldiers. You have a fleet of ships. You cannot say, oh, there's so many ships out there. No, there was a fleet of ships. The Indian Navy has a fleet of ships, children. A bunch of grapes. When you see those delicious, juicy grapes, that's a bunch of grapes. A pack of cards. Well, pack of cards, you can even have a pack of wolves, children. So what we have as a collective name for a particular group of the same kind, a class of students, when I say my class was present today, it's obvious all the students of my class were present. So this is the collective noun. Well, children, now we're going to do material noun. Now, what is a material noun? A noun that stands, or it's a name that stands for material. Now, here we are talking about material that we can see. But we have to remember something, children. They are ingredients. that we use in order to make something. Now let us take, we are making a building. What would we require to make a building? We would require wood, we would require bricks, we would require cement. Well, children, now these products that we require, or the ingredients that we require in order to produce something, to make something, that is known as a material noun. Now, material noun, we cannot say woods or, bricks already is, a material, is a plural form. Now, cements, we cannot say, we can say bags of cement, but cement will not become into cements. Bricks remains bricks only. We need bricks to build a house. We need wood to build a house. Now, if I want to make some jewelry, I would perhaps need gold, or I would need silver. Now remember, material nouns are used in the single form, meaning to say, even though bricks, children, is a word with an S in it, but we will not use it in the plural form, in the sense that we need bricks, right? We will not say, children, this is a brick. Like, what we need to do is, we need to use all this in singular form. Gold is needed. We don't say golds is needed. Or we don't say, children, silvers is needed. Gold, silver, bricks, cement, wood, whatever material we need in order to build something, in order to produce something, we will always use it in a singular form. Also remember, we cannot use an article. Do you know what are articles, children? We have articles, that is a, an, and the. These are articles. Now we don't use them before any material noun. Is that clear, children? Well, the next we have here is an abstract noun. Now, what is an abstract noun, kids? An abstract noun is a concept, a feeling, an emotion, something that cannot be touched or seen. But you can have an idea of it. You can perceive it in some manner. Then it is called an abstract noun. Like, I know this boy is a very honest boy. I can see that this boy is very clever. Now, children, when I am talking about words which have a particular potential in it, for example, you have honesty. This boy is very clever, so I can see his cleverness. Children, I can see the braveness in a person. I can see the love in a person. The person is showing me so much of love and affection. I can see this. I cannot rather see it. I can feel it. I cannot see it in the sense that, I can touch it, like I can touch this pen. I can see the pen. I can touch it. No, children. I get the feeling that somebody loves me. I get the feeling of honesty. The feeling of, really, like, even if it's anger, if it's hate, you get the feeling of that particular noun. Now, that is known as an abstract noun, not something that you can touch and you can see it. It's something that is an emotion, something you can perceive, but you cannot touch it. Now, children, abstract nouns, remember, they cannot be touched, they cannot be seen. It's just a feeling, a state of a thing that is termed as an abstract noun. Next, we have for you countable and uncountable nouns. Now, countable nouns are those nouns which you can actually count, children. They come normally in the singular form, children. Nouns which we can count. And nouns, children, which are countable nouns, are normally the common nouns. So you can count the common nouns, children. Like you can count the books, you can count the pens, you can count the boys, you can count the tables, you can count the number of chairs in the auditorium, you can count the houses that are there in a particular locality or a particular colony. So anything that can be counted, which is normally a common noun, that is termed as a countable noun. For example, children, you have the dogs barking. You can count the number of dogs, right? You can count, children, the number of students, the number of girls. Okay, you can count the number of pens. You can count all these things. So any of the nouns, which can be counted, we will term them in the countable nouns. But there are some nouns, children, which cannot be counted. Now, to count them is a different aspect or a different way. For example, the material nouns, such as sugar. I cannot count the grains of sugar. Can I say, put me two sugar in my tea? No. But I can definitely say 2 spoons of sugar. Now, I can count, children, not the sugar, but I can count the spoons. Now, spoons are a common noun. So, I can count the spoons of sugar, but I cannot count the sugar, children. Imagine sitting to count the sugar grains, which of course is impossible. Similarly, children, if it is salt, can I tell you, put me salts in my tea or salts in my food? No, children. I can say, put half a teaspoon of salt in the vegetable. Well, that is acceptable. But we cannot count, the salt, the sugar, the liquid. I can say, give me 2 ounces of water. Give me 1 liter of water. But I can't say, give me liquids, right? We cannot count liquids. So children, in this, the material nouns, which we cannot count, children, they are termed as uncountable nouns, right? Next, kids, we have for you is a concrete noun. Now, what is a concrete noun? It is something that we can touch, something that has a physical form, something that has a position and space. Now remember, it is anything, children, that we can touch. Like for example, let us take the example first. Can someone answer the phone? Now here the word phone, children. The word phone is a concrete noun. For you can touch it, you can see it. Now, we can also say, children, like names of places. Now, if I take the names of places, children, it can be concrete noun. Would be a hospital, children. It would be a school. It would be a hospital. It would be a school. And if I say names of persons, if I am referring to, children, persons, a concrete noun would be like, for example, my neighbor. I can see my neighbor. I can touch my neighbor. It may be an aunt. It may be a cousin, because I can see them. Children, I can touch them. They occupy space. They have a physical form. So anything that has a physical form, like whether it is a name of, it is a person, whether it is a place, whether it is a thing. Like if I am talking about the thing, then the example that I gave you here, it is a phone. Now we can see our phone, we can see a mobile, you can see, children, the pen in my hand, you can see the board on which I am writing. Now these are what we call the concrete nouns. So you've got it right, children. Concrete nouns, they stand for something something that we can touch, something that we can see, something that has a physical form. That is the important thing. So if we are talking about places, children, it can be a hospital, it can be a school, it can be an institute. If we are talking about your home, it can be your home, children. If we are talking about place, if we are talking about persons, it could be a teacher, it could be a doctor, it could be, your neighbor, your father, your mother, it could be anyone. So you've got it, children. These are called, what we term as concrete nouns. Now, children, it's quiz time. Well, after having learnt all the different types of nouns, let's get down to some exercises. Now, underline the noun and state its kind. Right? So let's do the very first sentence. Clothes are made of cotton, wool, and silk. Now, if we look at this particular sentence, children, let's first identify the nouns. The nouns out here are clothes, cotton, wool, and of course, and will not come, children. Cotton, wool, silk. These are the three things that will come. Cotton, wool, and silk. Now, cotton, wool, silk. These are what we call material nouns. And clothes, children. Clothes is the common name given for every article of garment that we wear. So the clothes will be termed as a common noun. Let's take the second sentence into consideration, children. Without health, there is no happiness. Let's identify the nouns in this particular sentence. And in this particular sentence, we have health and happiness. Now, both of them, children, if you remember, abstract noun, something you cannot see, you cannot touch it, but it's just a feeling, a state of mind, So here, these two words, we will classify them as the abstract noun. Now, the next sentence, the people who live in Holland are called Dutch. Now, here we identify Holland and Dutch. Well, they are particular names for particular people. So, both of them will come in the category of a proper noun. Now, Solomon is famous for his wisdom. Now, here, children, Solomon is a name of a particular person, a particular king who was worldwide known for his wisdom in ancient times. Now, here we have Solomon and we have wisdom. Solomon is a name of a particular person. So, Solomon will come under, children, a proper noun. And wisdom, children, this will be an abstract noun. There was a large crowd in the street. Now, here the noun we identify as crowd, and crowd is a single name given for many people. So, this word will be a collective noun. Right? So, this will be a collective noun. Now, let's go down to the next exercise, children. Fill in the correct collective nouns. You have a fleet of ships. Then we have, children, a flock of sheep. We have a flock of sheep. Now, for flowers, children, well, there are two things that we can use out here. We can say a bouquet of flowers, and even if you say a bunch of flowers, well, that's not wrong. But normally in the present time, when we are offering somebody a bouquet of flowers, we don't offer a bunch of flowers, right? So the more appropriate term for flowers, that will be a bouquet of flowers. B-O-U-Q-U-E-T. A bouquet of flowers. Now, a dash of mountains. Well, children, answer is a range of mountains. Now, and dash of soldiers. So here we have an army of soldiers. So these are the collective nouns. There are multitudes of collective nouns, children, and you have to memorize them. If you want your English to be good, children, you will have to do a little bit of exercises. Now, the third exercise that we have is fill in the blanks with the abstract nouns formed from the words. The first one is done for you, children, like the flowers in the garden give great. Please is the word. Now, how are we going to convert please into an abstract noun? So, for please, we change it to pleasure. Now, the next sentence is, to be a good writer, one must have the power of imagine. So, what are we going to change the imagine to, children? We are going to change it to imagination. Now, to succeed, one must not be afraid of fail. What is the abstract noun? Failure. Now, Adam had dash, that is curious, regarding the apple on the tree. So, curious, to make it into an abstract noun, we are going to change curious to curiosity. Adam had curiosity. She accepted our invite. No, kids. She accepted our invite changes into invitation. So these are the exercises for you, children. 3 different types of exercises. There are hordes of exercises in store for you, children. Happy working with these exercises. And with this, we end this particular level. We'll be back with some more levels for you. Well, children, in this particular level, we are going to discuss about genders. Now, what is a gender? Right? It's also associated with nouns. So what is a gender? It is a gender is the quality of a noun or a pronoun. That is, like for example, let us take the word he. He is a pronoun, right? We take the word he is a pronoun. If I take the word she is also a pronoun. But what kind of a pronoun is he? What is the gender of he? Well, he stands for a boy, so he is a masculine gender. She stands for a female, so obviously, children, she would be in a feminine gender. So in this particular session, children, what we're going to do is we're going to classify the nouns. If it is wood, oh, is the wood male or female, children? We have to see that. If I refer to the term student, now, well, my students could be girls and boys. So what type of a gender is that? Now, let's get into the session, children, and we'll do each one of them in detail. So what is a gender, children? It actually tells us the quality of a noun or a pronoun, whether they are male, female, or masculine, feminine, common, or a neuter gender. Well, children, now what we're going to discuss and deal with are the 4 different types of genders that we have. Now, getting into the first type, children, a noun that denotes a male, children. You know, that male, either a person or an animal. Now, I'm not talking about a thing, children. because is this pen male or female, children? Is this watch male or female? Well, it cannot be identified, but we can identify, people and animals. So when we identify an animal or a person as a male, it is called a masculine gender. Let's take a few examples. Taking an example, children, of an animal, like let us say the animal is dog. Okay, so a dog really refers to a masculine dog, a male dog, children. If I take son, that is a masculine gender. If I take father, that is a masculine gender. Now, a noun that denotes a female of either a person or a animal. If it is it's a female factor, children, then we will term it as a feminine gender. So the feminine gender, like of a dog, children, a feminine gender of a dog would be a bitch. A son would be a daughter. And the masculine of father is obviously mother. Next, children, we come to, what is called a neuter gender, right? It is a neuter gender, and a neuter gender denotes a thing without life. So we're talking about a non-living thing that has no life in it, children. And you can neither classify it as male or you cannot classify it as a female. It's just a thing with no particular gender attached to it. Now let's discuss some example. Well, children, the pen that I have, well, it's not masculine or feminine. It's just a thing, a non-living thing. Let us take a ship, children. Maybe it is shoes, children. All these things that is neither male nor female. And in fact, an important thing is a thing without life. Does, children, your pair of shoes have life in it? No. Does this pen have life in it? No, children. Does a ship have life in it? No, kids. So these things fall in the neuter gender. Yes. Now we have a common gender. Now, what is a common gender, children? It is a common name, by which you call, either a male or a female. They're both called by the same name. Now, one of the ideal examples of this is, let me talk about a teacher. Now, I am not saying sir or ma'am. What I'm talking about is a teacher. Now, a teacher could be a sir, as I said, or a ma'am, a male or a female. But sir is the common the common word that we would use, which could identify as both a male or a female. Let us say it's a parent-teacher meeting. Now, parent can be a term which is used both for males as well as for the females, children. So you have a parent-teacher meeting. Let me take, children, students. Now, students can refer to, children, both male as well as female. So you've got it, children. When the person we are talking about, or the thing we're talking about, or the animal we're talking about is a male, we call it the masculine gender. When it is a female, children, we call it the feminine gender. When it stands for nothing, children, it doesn't really stand for male or female, it's a non-living product, then we call it the neuter gender. But a noun that can be used for both male as well as female, we call it the common gender. And here you have, I've given you a couple of examples for this. You've got it right, children? Well, children, here we have a pictorial diagram for you, children. Well, this child is so happy because finally he has been able to identify all the various genders. Masculine gender, children, which stands for males. Important term here is to remember that it stands for males. Here we have the feminine gender. Feminine gender, these stand for children, females. A common gender is one which stands for both males and females. And here we finally have, children, the neuter gender. Now the neuter gender is one which stands for non-living things, which really cannot be classified as male or female. So we have the neuter gender for non-living objects. So that is the neuter gender. So this is the 4 different genders for you. Well, kids, English is one subject, children, which is filled with exceptions. There are exceptions for each and everything in English. Now, in the previous slide, we studied about males called masculine gender, females called feminine gender. And we studied that every non-living object is definitely into the neuter gender. But here we have some exceptions to the rule. Now, very often, certain non-living objects, they are personified as if they're very much living. Then in that particular sense, children, anything that is actually showing strength and violence, something that is very, very strong, something that shows, to be very powerful, children. Now, that particular object, we will consider it as masculine, right? For example, the sun, summer, winter, time, death, rather harsh, rather strong, and rather powerful objects. So they are termed, children, as the masculine gender when they are personified. Now, feminine genders, children, when any non-living object is rather known for its beauty, gentleness, gracefulness, serenity. For its charm, then, children, we will classify it as a feminine gender. The moon with the shimmering and glittering light. Earth is called Mother Earth. Children, similarly, the spring season, autumn, nature, liberty. Now, these are very, very feminine. They're very serene, very gentle, very graceful. So we term them in the female factor, in the feminine gender, when, children, they are personified. Now, what is personification, children? Personification is a figure of speech. Now, when we talk about personification, personification is when a non-living thing is made to appear as if it is a living thing, especially in poems, especially when we are writing articles, then we personify the non-living thing. So when it is personified, if the object has got, strength in it, then it's masculine. If it's got gentleness in it, then it is a feminine. Then we address it in the feminine factor. Now, what are the ways of changing some feminines? There are some different ways of forming feminines of the noun. Like, for example, a bachelor. Bachelor would be a maid, but that's rather old-fashioned. Today, we refer to a spinster. A bachelor is a boy who is not married. So a spinster is a girl who is not married. Now, the next we have is a boy. a boy, the feminine of boy is girl. Similarly, children, you will have a king and the feminine of king would be queen. Okay, you have a man and the feminine of man would be woman. So what we find is, children, a totally different word, by using an entirely different word, words which are not connected. Well, children, here we have some more rules and regulations for you where it comes to conversion of masculine to feminine. Now, here we have, that is, we can add either ESS, INE, TRIX, A, etc. For example, children, author becomes authoress. Now, kindly note, children, in certain words, we use the full word author. All that we are adding to it is an ESS. Similarly, baron, we have added ESS. Hero, we have added INE and we have made it into heroine. Now, testator, we have made it into testatrix. We have added, children, the IXTRIX into it. Caesar, Caesarina, we have added INA into it. Sultan, Sultana. And a fox, children, it has totally changed into a vixen. So there are different ways, by adding certain alphabets where we change the masculine into feminine. Now, sometimes when we add ESS, children, we drop the middle vowel. So when you have an actor, children, an actor, we will cut the vowel because the vowel is before the last alphabet. Now, what are the vowels? I'm sure you know it, children. They are the alphabets A, E, I, O, and U. Now, similarly, benefactor, we change it, we cut the O, and we have added ESS. So, sometimes if there is a vowel before the last word, we need to cut the vowel and we need to add ESS. Now, by placing a word before or after, now actually we need to change the masculine into feminine. When we do it, we need to change it of the main word. What is the main word in these compound words? Now, man, servant. Now, if I take this, children, man and servant, okay? Now, how can I change servant, children? What do I make it? Servantess? Oh, that would be ridiculous, right? So, we change the word man. Man we change into, we won't say woman, children, but we talk about, a lady who is working in our house. Well, she is known as a maid servant. So we've changed the word man. Man we have changed into maid. Now, landlord. Now, can I change the land, children? In this, children, the word lord is more important than the land. So I cannot change the land into landless or landerer. No, it would be pretty ridiculous. So I change the lord. I change the lord into lady. So it is landlord and landlady. So sometimes we can also change masculine to feminine by using different rules and regulations. So children, here you have by adding ESS, then we have by dropping the vowel, and the third one we have placing a word before or after, or rather changing the word before or after. Well, children, it's quiz time now. After having, understood about genders, let's work out this particular exercise. Now, in the first exercise that we have, it is write the opposite gender, right? So let's go about it. They are in the masculine. Let's convert them into the feminine. Now, shepherd would be shepherdess. Now, let us come to master. Master will definitely not be masteress. The master will be into mistress. Children, emperor. Now remember the rule, children. If before the last word there is a vowel, what do we do, children? We cut the vowel and we're going to add ESS. So the word that we are going to have is empress. Now, the similar rule will work for governor. Now, governor also has an O or a vowel before the last word. So, it's going to be governess. But children, I really need to tell you something. When a governor we are talking about, the governor of a particular place. Now, if it is a male, then too it is called a governor. If it is a female, still it is called a governor. Now, let me give you an example of the Prime Minister. There was Indira Gandhi, a female, who was the Prime Minister of a country. Well, she was not called Prime Minister-ish, children. She was called the Prime Minister. Similarly, when we have a particular post, we will not call the female of that post, by the feminine factor, because actually, children, governess has a different meaning also. A governess is kind of a person who is kept in the house to look after the little children, particularly when it comes to the education part of the children. That is a governess. That is the governess of the child. So a governor, we call a female also a governor if it is in the post of administration. Otherwise, a person working in the house will be called as a governess. Papa will obviously be mama, and son will be daughter. Now let's change the gender. Now when we change the gender, we've got to be careful even of the pronouns in that particular sentence, children. So let's work out this exercise very carefully. The Prime Minister received the Queen at the airport. Now, am I going to change the Prime Minister into Prime Minister-ish? No, kids. I just told you a little while ago that when it is a position in administration, it doesn't really change. So we are not going to change the Prime Minister, but yes, we are going to change the Queen into King. So the Prime Minister received the King at the airport. That woman is my uncle's aunt. Now here we are going to change the woman. We are going to make it man. Uncles is going to be aunts with an apostrophe S, and aunt is going to be uncle. So our statement reads as that woman. So that man is my aunt's uncle. Next we have the landlord asked the washerman to wash the clothes. Okay, so what we have the statement? The landlord asked the washerwoman. So the landlord, children, we change the landlord into landlady. Ask the washerman. So for washerman, we change it to washerwoman. Now, my hostess was a kind shepherdess, said the Duchess. Well, the entire sentence is in the feminine. So let's change it to masculine, children. My hostess, we change this to host. Was a kind shepherdess. The shepherdess changes into shepherd. And the duchess, well, changes into a totally different word. And the word is duke. So our sentence is, my host was a kind shepherd, said the duke. The actor is a good dancer and singer too. Now here we have one word, that is actor, and actor will change into actress. Right, children? So this is the way we change the sentences. Words that are in masculine, we make it feminine. Those which are feminine, we change it into masculine. Right, kids?